This is the Deseret News National Edition, when your family needs to know more.
Good morning and welcome to the Deseret News National Edition. I'm Dave McCann. The Venn Institute has released a midterm International Religious Freedom Scorecard, grading all members of Congress. Here with us this morning to discuss the results is Lindsay Vesey, the Executive Director of the Venn Institute. Good morning. Nice to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a description of how your organization works.
Sure. Our organization, Venn Institute, is recently founded, and it's a nonprofit that seeks to promote religious freedom for people of all faiths or no faith. So that's international religious freedom. In a lot of countries, people don't have the ability to worship as they please. They don't have the ability to convert, things like that. And so we basically uphold Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
So when you go now to grade a politician, what standard are you holding them up to?
Essentially what we do, we look at all the key bills and resolutions in Congress that deal with international religious freedom issues. We also invite members of Congress and their staff to recommend things that they think should be in the scorecard. And I actually reach out to the NGO community and to other people in this industry and essentially ask, what do you all think are the best things to score? And we take those items, we add them to the scorecard, and each member of Congress gets a point for the items that we choose to score. But there are a few additional things that they can do to get higher scores, such as introduce a bill or resolution. They get extra credit for that because it takes a lot more work to put that together and also to see it all the way through the process.
How do you feel this Congress is defending religious freedom?
It's sad. They have not done very well at all. Now, typically with the midterm scorecard, we see much lower scores than the final. We use this as a tool to get people kind of made aware of the things that they're missing. Of course, we've been outreaching to them throughout the year, but often they have not prioritized, as we see in this Congress, a lot of low scores.
All right, let's look at some of the A-listers, so to speak, that are getting the grade according to your group. And Marco Rubio, we know his name from being a potential presidential candidate in the last couple of elections, but he leads this group of names. How do these guys earn their A or A+?
The majority of members who have an A or A+ are people who have sponsored or co-sponsored something that we scored. They got extra credit points. But they also have to co-sponsor any other item that we're scoring. Most of these things aren't ever going to make it to a vote. We know that with the majority of legislation or resolutions. So by co-sponsoring, that's something that we can look at to see how much they're prioritizing this issue as opposed to people who aren't co-sponsoring them at all.
Now, when you look at the representatives, there aren't many that make the list. In fact, just a couple. Frank Wolf and Trent Franks. Where's everybody else?
In the previous scorecard, we have many higher scores than this time around. And so I'm thinking that there are people who just kind of slip their mind. Once they see this, they're going to start co-sponsoring things that we're scoring. But Congressman Frank Wolf has been probably the biggest champion of international religious freedom for many decades. And Congressman Trent Franks actually is the chair of the International Religious Freedom Caucus. And they both have sponsored things that we're scoring.
Now, you know two key achievements in the 113th session of Congress. What are they?
The first would be the Senate passed a resolution that condemns the government of Iran for their state-sponsored persecution of Baha'i minorities. The other is very important, and it was actually something that passed in the previous session of Congress. It's a House resolution that provides for the creation of a special envoy to promote religious freedom in the Near East and South Central Asia. Unfortunately, it passed in the House last session as well as this one, but in the Senate, it's being held up by 2 senators.
All right. From the Venn Institute, Lindsay, thank you. Appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Good to have you here this morning. You can read much more about the attacks on religious freedom online. Mark Kellner has written about why Pakistan tops the new list of those abusing religious freedom. In recent weeks, our 10 Today series has been examining how the 10 Commandments are being lived today. The 8th commandment admonishes us not to steal. Deseret News reporter Michael DeGroot shows us what stealing looks like here in the digital age.
Let's look at what it used to mean. Thou shalt not steal. It was in your face. People would grab you, take your stuff, knock you down, beat you up, or they'd break into your house, people screaming, grabbing things. It still goes on today. But now, people can steal stuff from you and you won't even know it. But when you're taking something that's copied on the internet, who's the victim? it's just some kind of nameless corporation. The in-your-face sort of aspect's not there, so people are removed from the theft. These companies are doing, they're trying to make it into a bigger crime. It's a huge crime, you're a thief, you're awful, you're terrible. But that doesn't have any effect. What we have found, however, is that small programmers who make games, they've successfully built a community where they're talking with the people, and they don't say, you're all thieves. What they say is, look at how this affects me. I can make better games for you to play if I make more money. And so if you're doing it without paying me, you're not getting as good a games. And so these communities have been very effective in reducing the amount of digital theft, because they don't accuse people of being thieves, because they build a relationship with them.
Michael DeGroot reporting. Next, a couple from Idaho made it their mission to do good wherever they can. How their efforts have changed so many lives around the world when Deseret News National Edition continues.